Kansas, where Wilt Chamberlain is just one of dozens of great players who made and continue to make the Jayhawks one of the giants in college basketball. North Carolina, the place where Michael Jordan's name tops a staggering list of players who have elevated the Tar Heels to the sports elite. Old friends collide tonight, Kansas and Carolina. Game 2, the second semifinal here with the Owens Corning preseason NIT from Madison Square Garden in New York City. Basketball royalty, the Kansas Jayhawks and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Hey, what an upset in Game 1. Stanford beating Florida 69-65. The Cardinal will meet the winner of this game in the championship game Friday night on ESPN2. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Thanks for spending some time with us. Dan Schulman, Dick Vitale, the Kansas Jayhawks, number 2, Collison, Hinrich, 2 All-Americans as seniors. Roy Williams has a loaded team again.
Well, you know, Roy Williams, a future Hall of Famer. You talk about Hinrich, you talk about Collison. I believe they're the best 1-2 tandem in America, inside, outside. I love Hinrich, I love Collison. How they defend them and stop them is going to be key for North Carolina.
Now, North Carolina just 8-20 last year, 3-0 already this season. 1 win for every outstanding freshman that we've seen so far. But another tough test here tonight, and for more on that, here's Andy Katz.
Well, Matt Doherty has been really thrilled with the 3 tests that these freshmen have already had. In the Penn State opener, they had a big lead. They learned how to protect it, played great defense. Against Rutgers, they had to come back in that game and then hold it and show some poise late in the game. And then they go on Sunday to Old Dominion, to open Old Dominion's building. A hostile environment, they handled themselves. But Doherty told me earlier today, this is a much tougher challenge because the competition rises. Well, let's go back to Dan.
No question, Andy. Thank you very much. Never before this season have the North Carolina Tar Heels started 3 freshmen in a game. Rashad McCants starting along with Raymond Felton and Sean May. Yes, it is experience against youth. How's that going to play out here tonight?
Well, you know, psychologically, I think making the journey to New York and winning those games to get here has been such a plus for North Carolina after the disastrous year last year. It's something these kids had to have happen to give them something to be positive about. Matt Doherty and his staff did a great job bringing in 3 super freshmen. The dilemma is those 3 kids have to have their A game on to be able to beat people.
A look at the Owens Corning starting lineups. The 3 freshmen, McCants, May, and Felton, have combined for 64% of North Carolina's points in their first 3 games. Kansas with 2 seniors and 3 very talented sophomores. Let's not forget about Aaron Miles, Keith Langford, and Wayne Simeon, who are all right on the verge of stardom in Lawrence, Kansas.
Well, I believe they got the best starting 5 in the nation. If they can develop some bench strength from 6 to 11, they are certainly going to be a team to reckon with when we talk the postseason and March Madness.
Carolina wearing the home whites here tonight, and Kansas in blue as we are underway in semifinal number 2. This is McCants' baseline. He has had some huge games at 28 points in his first game in a Carolina uniform, but he quickly turns it over.
He had 20 in the first half against Penn State. It was explosive. I mean, those 3 kids certainly have lived up to the billing coming out of high school.
An easy win over Penn State for Carolina in their first game as Hinrich, the senior, knocks down a 3.
The best player in America in terms of the perimeter players. I think there's no doubt he can play either point or the second guard, make shots, defend, and he's just a winner.
Last year even had to play some wing in a 3-guard offense by Roy Williams, and Coach Williams told us today not once did Kirk Hinrich complain about switching between 3 different positions, and Roy Williams believes Kirk Hinrich has proven himself to be an even better player than everybody thought he was, because now we know he can do so many different things.
Well, he was coached by his dad all through his elementary school days, his high school days. The same with Collison. They were really well drilled before they arrived at Kansas.
McCants open, ties the game.
He can shoot the long-range shot, and I'll tell you, has no fear in his heart. He's a fierce competitor. Rashad McCants.
So many ties, of course, between these 2 programs and the 2 coaches, and we're going to get into that as the night goes along. But right now it's on the floor. Jayhawks and Tar Heels tied at 3.
There are many people who thought that Roy Williams would be on the sideline at North Carolina in Chapel Hill, but he found a comfort zone in Jayhawk land.
Collison is fouled, and Matt Doherty once said that he expected Roy Williams to go to North Carolina. Matt Doherty thought maybe he would become the Kansas coach at some point. None of that happened. Let's go to Andy Katz.
Rashad McCants wearing that shoulder brace, but he's been wearing it throughout the regular season so far in their first 3 games. Not to be alarmed. It has not affected his shot, as we see there as he buries a jumper.
There's Matt Doherty, fiery as always on the sideline as Collison misses his first free throw. 3rd season at North Carolina for Doherty, the former player at North Carolina, after 1 year at Notre Dame. You can see the numbers for Collison. And Collison and Hinrich, the seniors, recruited by Doherty when he was an assistant at Kansas 4 years ago. And Doherty was having some laughs and some words with a lot of the Kansas kids in the layup lines.
1993 to 1999, he served on that staff.
Look at the speed on Raymond Felton.
Oh, you're going to like Mr. Felton. Hasn't shot the ball well early in his career, but he is a big-time performer. Everybody I talk to raves about him.
Oh, jam by McCants.
Hello, Mr. McCants says, bring on the best in America. I fear none. They're going to love him in Chapel Hill.
Here comes Felton after the turnover. Pushing it.
Look at that speed. Hello. They're going to love these Dunkin' Donuts. I'll tell you, they'll be rocking on Tobacco Road.
4-point lead, Tar Heels, 2 minutes in.
And remember, the other kids with those 3 are only second-year players.
Yep.
Williams and certainly Manuel, very quick, athletic.
The youngest team in North Carolina history and the youngest team in Major Division I college basketball, the Tar Heels. Langford inside, and he's fouled from behind by Felton.
I really love the toughness of McCants. I'll tell you, he can play for me, man. Watch him just explode to the basket. There he is, going right to the goal. Jam up and away. I'm telling you, one tough player. I tell you, North Carolina really fills the lanes. I love their quickness, their athletic ability.
At the line for Kansas, Langford. Interesting story. He's a guy who goes on the internet, checks into chat rooms. He kept reading about how he was the supposed weak link in the Kansas starting 5. And even though it was just, you know, students, kids, fans, whatever, he took offense. And look at those numbers. That's no weak link, my friend.
No, he's no weak link. I'll tell you, he came on last year in the postseason, played brilliantly for Kansas, gave him great point production. Remember, they lose Jeff Brochier, the all-time leading three-point shooter in the history of the Big 12. And then you lose Drew Gooden, who I love. I think Gooden's going to be a sensational NBA player playing for UB Brown, where he'll learn a great deal after learning so much from Roy Williams.
Carolina with an early 3-point lead. 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores. All 3 freshmen, by the way, played in this building in the McDonald's All-America game last spring. So it's not their first time here at Madison Square Garden. Felton blocked. Miles got a piece. Here come the Jayhawks.
Miles, a good defensive player, understands the role of the point guard. Look at that entry. Look at a great 45-degree angle. Aaron Miles is a winner. He does whatever a point guard's supposed to do. He's the making of another Jock Vaughn.
He can win a game without ever taking a shot. He is a truly unselfish player.
That's the matchup right now. Miles and Felton.
Another strong drive. The Tar Heels going strong to the bucket, but let's go back to the other end. Some textbook basketball here.
Oh, great entry. They work on that all the time. Great spacing, and you got the guy that can finish on the inside, Mr. Collison.
Well, Kansas with 2 guys who can really play in the low post, and Simeon and Collison. 3 rattles out. Collison the rebound. Carolina, whoever Juwan Williams is covering, he's going to give up a lot of size to somebody. Langford knocks down a long 2, and Kansas takes a 1-point lead.
Kansas hurts you on so many different parts. They can hurt you inside with Simeon posted. They can hurt you certainly with Collison and his inside ability. On the perimeter with Hinrich and Langford, and the penetration ability of Miles. What a great starting 5. Langford
is now 18 for 20 shooting the ball this season. Kansas with a couple of lopsided wins over Holy Cross and UNC Greensboro to get here, as Williams answers at the other end, but then Collison beats him down the floor.
Yeah, Williams, that matchup inside is going to be interesting. Williams makes the big 3, but you got to hustle and get back defensively against Kansas. They score so quickly after a score.
You know, there's a tendency to say this kind of pace favors Kansas, but the Jayhawks are not as deep as Roy Williams would like. He doesn't know quite how much he can expect from his bench this year. Here's Hinrich. Here's Miles, and it's blocked. What a play by Jackie Manuel.
Jackie Manuel is a heck of a defensive player. He can get in your face. Just ask Rutgers Coleman, who had 28 against Temple, but struggled against North Carolina.
Coming up.
ESPN2's presentation of the Owens Corning NIT preseason tournament is presented by Owens Corning, Innovations for Living, and in part by Infiniti, makers of innovative high-performance premium vehicles, and Wendy's Bacon Swiss Cheeseburger and Chicken Bacon Swiss. It's better here.
Back here in New York City, a 10-10 tie early between Kansas and Carolina. The history between these two schools goes back 50 years. Dean Smith played for Kansas, won a national championship there, and of course, he now takes over and becomes a legendary coach at North Carolina. Wins a national championship in 1982. Roy Williams, one of his assistants, moves to Kansas. Matt Doherty becomes one of his assistants. And then when Roy Williams decides to stay at Kansas, Matt Doherty takes the North Carolina job, and back and forth between these two schools, two of the truly elite programs in college basketball history. A lot of connections, a lot of friendships, and both coaches say, you know what, I'd rather not coach against the other school. I'd rather not coach against the other guy, but this is the way, this is the lot they've drawn, and they're just going to make the best of it.
Well, Roy Williams, 10 years as an assistant. What a staff they had with Bill Guthridge and Eddie Fogler and Dean Smith. What a guy to learn from, and they absolutely revere and love everything about Dean. Certainly, when he had that choice to make, Larry Brown told him, I understand what you're going through, as Larry certainly working at Kansas, won the national title in '88 and played at North Carolina, so he knows the feelings of both places.
Will Johnson and David Noel, yet another freshman, into the game now for Carolina. Johnson, a senior, Noel, a freshman from Durham, North Carolina. So Carolina maybe a little bit deeper than Kansas.
Well, I don't know. I think the Kansas bench is going to be a lot better than people believe. I really do. But the season makes itself good defense right on Hinrich right there.
Manuel got a piece of the shot.
He's a good defensive player. Very quick, very active. Jackie Manuel.
He was the guy who shut down Jerome Coleman for Rutgers, forced him into a 2 for 18 night.
Yeah, and he came back in a 28 against Temple.
Yep. Boy, Rutgers had Carolina too, up 11 with 6 minutes to go, and just didn't take care of the basketball. Carolina came back and beat them, then went on the road and beat Old Dominion. So now they're here at 3-0. Turnaround by Wayne Simeon, no good. And Sean May, great hands for a big guy, comes down with a rebound.
Well, his daddy was certainly special. I was teasing him today. I said, if you're half the player as your daddy, man. His dad was so special at Indiana. Played on that team that went 32-0, Quinn Buckner and company for the General.
Well, some of the folks in Bloomington shocked and saddened that Sean May decided to go to Tobacco Road instead of staying at Indiana.
Well, one of the connections with North Carolina, his dad played under Dean Smith on the Olympic team in '76 and had a familiarity there. And I'll tell you one thing, they're certainly happy he decided to make the journey to Chapel Hill, because he's got quite a future. I think you're going to see him get into a little bit better physical shape once the season gets into tune, and he's got great hands, touch. It'll make him a little bit quicker, just lose a little bit weight inside.
There's Sean May knocking the ball out of bounds for more on the big man in the middle for the Tar Heels, Sean May. Here's Andy Katz.
At the beginning of this month, I was at a practice at North Carolina, and it was Sean May, not the sophomores, not the two seniors. It was Sean May who was the leader in practice when Coach Doherty was getting on Damian Grant a little bit more. It was Sean May that got Damian Grant's confidence back up to stay on the floor. He is the leader of this team.
We've seen a lot, Dick, from kids who are the sons of great players or the sons of coaches like Paulison and Hinrich. They're a little ahead of the game than some of the other kids.
Great drive right there by Hinrich, using the baseline, the left hand. Also, I think Sean May will tell you right up and down that he wanted to get his own little identity. By going to North Carolina, that can happen for him.
A 2-point lead, not anymore. McCants strong to the bucket again.
He is just so explosive. Played at New Hampton Prep, comes from Asheville, North Carolina. Helped him to mature going to New Hampton.
Collison with a good position, misses the shot, and there's May again tapping the ball to himself. Got it in those big mitts, and here it comes again. Look at the big guy go.
He has good understanding how to play as well. What a great kid. You just talked to him 5 minutes. You can see he's a disciplined kid.
Noel too strong. Loose ball to the Jayhawks.
Noel was a kid recruited by the football staff. Right. Decided to play basketball. Very athletic.
Bryant Nash with the long jumper. And the rebound from McCants, who's the high scorer in this game right now with 7.
as Raymond Felton handling the controls. A lot of South Carolina just dominated on a high school level.
National High School Player of the Year a year ago. Jumper from the corner, no good for Noel.
He created the opportunity for his teammate right there.
Great look ahead. Hinrich to Collison, and he draws the foul.
He is a legend and icon in Lotta, baby, where his father was special too, Raymond Sr.
College basketball's Feast Week continues on ESPN2 here on Friday night. It's the Hall of Fame Tip-Off Classic featuring Ohio State taking on Mo Williams, Irwin Dudley, and Alabama. The second game, our championship game here from New York. Stanford against the winner of this game, and then semifinal action from the Great Alaska Shootout up in Anchorage. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Among the teams up in Alaska, Oklahoma State, Michigan State, and Villanova.
Oh, Oklahoma State up there. I didn't realize they were up there as well.
Wyoming also up there. Always a great tournament in Anchorage. Folks put on a great show there, just like they do here in New York and in Maui as well. Jawad Williams, and Carolina leads.
Williams and certainly Manuel have improved from last year. And I think playing with those three freshmen has helped their game. The speed and the pace of the game plays into their hands, and so Melvin Scott as well. They got 6 good players there.
Scott, a sophomore, into the game for the first time.
Last year was such a nightmarish year. 8-20. They already got 3 W's. Last year they were 0-3.
Yeah, Matt Doherty said, you know what, though? All the streaks have been broken. All the pressure is off. Now it's time to build back up, and it sure looks like they're going to do that. Williams, step back, 16-footer, too strong.
You're talking about 37 years in a row, finishing number 1, 2, and 3 in the conference. You're talking about 31 years in a row, winning 20 or more games, 27 years in a row in the NCAA. There's the strip.
Scott tries to take it all the way. Miles got it. Felton puts it home. Well, Carolina fortunate. Scott could have dished to Felton for an easy layup.
I didn't see him. Raymond Felton was down with the offensive rebound. They said he was starting to show how special he was at age 2 dribbling the basketball.
Really?
Yeah,
so
I read an article.
Get Jake and Connor going early. Time's a wasting.
And they also said that one of the real attractions to North Carolina was their love of watching Phil Ford play. His dad used to watch him for years.
Yep. There's Hinrich, just hanging on to the ball, banks it home. What a player.
Understands what a good shot is. He takes good shots, plays within the realm of the team concept, which is so typical of North Carolina. When you think of the W's, 28 wins a year, going for 14 consecutive years, that's incredible. Those are Hall of Fame numbers.
7 points for Hinrich. 3 Final Fours for Roy Williams at Kansas as well. 13 straight trips to the NCAA.
You don't want to spin. As soon as you spin on your dribble, they have help coming over, and that created the turnover. Spacing, spread the court, 15 feet apart. There's the screen up on top.
Hinrich again with the floater, doesn't go. Rebound, Tar Heels.
He wanted a foul right there.
Scott moving off the ball more now that Felton has arrived in Chapel Hill. Williams got it.
Create that, baby. The orchestra leader, the maestro man, was Raymond Felton. Created that opportunity for the shot. His penetration ability. You can't teach that.
And Jawad Williams now with 10. Carolina on a 9-2 run to take a 5-point lead. Nice play. Collison is fouled hard.
Nice backdoor cut to the post. Release. Tell you think about all the tradition and all the history involved in these schools. You mentioned 57. That was the national championship game. Triple overtime. Roy Williams, now a legend in college basketball, but in that era it was Wilt Chamberlain and company getting beat by Lenny Rosenbluth. Frank McGuire on the sideline.
Triple overtime, right?
Yes, sir. As Matt Doherty worked in the stock market and said, no, baby, he was drawing X's and O's while he was sitting in the stock market and said, I got to get into coaching.
Mass substitutions for both sides, including Sean May coming back in for North Carolina. Hinrich among those going out for Kansas.
Matt played for an outstanding high school coach, and Bob McKillop, who's doing a heck of a job at Davidson. They played Duke so tough. Played at Holy Trinity up there in Long Island.
And a break coming as Collison to make some both. Feast week rolls on here in New York City. Carolina.
Trey Wingo here with you in our ESPN studios to catch up on the finals of the Maui Invitational between Virginia and Indiana. That is Indiana missing, and they'll work it around to Elton Brown. Virginia will. Pete Gillen says he's going to be a special player. He was special there. Virginia leads by 3. Dan and Dick, I may have lost Digger to the Maui game for the half.
Well, we're going to see Indiana Tuesday night in the ACC Big Ten Challenge against Maryland, and then we're going to see Michigan State playing Virginia Wednesday in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Both of those games on ESPN. Andy Katz will be with us as well. We got a good, boy, this is a great time of year for college basketball. Feast week continues tonight on ESPN2 at 11:30 Eastern. It's the Great Alaska Shootout. Jason Miller and the Cowboys taking on the host team, Alaska Anchorage. For more information, log on to ESPN.com and watch out for the Seawolves. They'll beat some people up there on their home court. 3-point lead Carolina. Will Johnson the open look, around and out. A rebound, Jayhawks on the run.
Well, Will Johnson gives him some experience.
Miles with a pull up. Follow no good. Now the numbers for the Tar Heels led by Melvin Scott. Pull up from 15 and he got it.
Melvin Scott got a lot of experience last year, a lot of valuable time in the learning process. You know, last year they won 3 in a row, was their biggest win streak. They've already matched that this year.
8 wins all of last season.
Last year would be St. Joe's, North Carolina A&T, and Texas A&M for 3 in a row.
Wayne Simeon lays it in, a big and talented sophomore who battled some injuries last year, but now healthier. And with Drew Gooden gone, he's looking for a breakout year.
Yeah, he's got to be the guy inside to give him that point production and make up for the loss of Drew Gooden, and he can do it. There's no doubt he's going to be a special player on the interior. Roy Williams said, I wanted him the first time I laid eyes on him as a 7th grader at my camp. We're going to watch him on the inside, posted up. They throw the lob over the top. Defense comes over, but he seals off exceptionally well. Look at Matt. Look at Matt. Look at the emotion. Look at the little jumping. Come on, Matt. Matt's jumping up and down, man. He's working that sideline. He's going to have a lot to cheer about as you watch Mr. Simeon score.
You talked about it. There are Wayne Simeon's parents, Wayne Sr. and Margaret. And when Wayne Simeon showed up as a 7th grader, he was too good. So they put him in with the 8th graders and then the 9th. And they got all the way up to high school seniors, and he was still holding his own. And Roy Williams told us today, he said, okay, where's Mom and Dad? I got to talk to Mom and Dad right away. He's from Leavenworth, Kansas. Mom grew up in Lawrence, so it was a natural for Wayne Simeon to go to Kansas.
And they love that he committed there. Boy, McCants again with another score. Just has a nose to get to the basket.
Like Langford does.
Yes, sir. Langford is a prolific scorer. He was putting up big points in the NCAA tournament when they went to the Final Four before losing to the ultimate national champs, the Terps of Maryland.
By the way, best moment at shoot-around for any of the 4 teams today. Mr. and Mrs. Simeon asked Dick to take a picture with them. And then Mrs. Simeon points at me and says, doesn't your son want to come and be in the picture?
Right, my son. He looks like my father. Come on, Mr. and Mrs. Simeon. You were my favorite parents when you asked me for that picture. They're very serious looking.
Come on,
right
Pops.
there.
I don't see what the problem is.
I'll take you out for something to eat later, son. Relax. It's great to do father and son here, man.
3-point lead here for Carolina. Remember, upset in game 1. Stanford over Florida. Tar Heels trying to pull off another one here.
Hey, they are not intimidated by the ranking in the north of Kansas.
Here's Hinrich with the rebound. Kansas down 3 on the run.
I'm really impressed the way the North Carolina kids are hanging in there.
Langford the miss. Jeff Graves pulls down the rebound. Here's a key player for Kansas. Showed up about 30 pounds overweight. Couldn't do the 12-minute run. Couldn't make enough laps around the track to get on the team. So Roy Williams kept saying, Jeff Graves is not yet officially a member of our team. He was deep in Coach Williams' doghouse. He's lost about 15 pounds, but they want him to get down to about 260.
And they feel that he definitely could be a factor inside. In fairness to him, he missed about 3 weeks. He had a car accident, had a concussion in the accident, has some good ability, and they really need him to contribute, to give him a rotation with their people on the interior.
And if you're a big guy and if you play for Roy Williams, you better be able to get up and down the floor. Here's the coach.
We're not going to try to trick you. You know, we're going to do this, but can you stop it? And I think that may be one way that I'm a little more stubborn, I guess, is I don't care if you know what we're going to do, you still have to be able to stop us. We are going to push it like crazy. I mean, you can't play for us as a big guy if you can't run and you aren't willing to run. And I say all the time, we're going to run every possession, because they're going to take some possessions off.
And I think he's going to get the message loud and clear. If he wants to get some PT playing time, he's going to adhere to the Kansas philosophy.
And he's the backup for both of the big guys, for Simeon and Collison, so he's going to get his minutes. Whoa, what a nice lay-in underneath the basket by McCants, who's 6'4", but plays a whole lot bigger than that.
He is so versatile. Nobody stops the transition again. There's Hinrich. Defensive transition is so important. He said, we're going to push it,
Yep.
Roy Williams. There's an example of it.
Hinrich, by the way, grabbed his back on the way back down the floor and grimaced a little bit on the defensive end. Melvin Scott the miss. Rebound, Jawad Williams. And who's got it? We got a timeout on the floor with 7:17 to play. Up and down the floor, just like Roy Williams promised. But Carolina not intimidated early against the Jayhawks.
Trey Wingo here updating you on the #1 team in the land, Arizona, playing most of this game without Luke Walton, who rolled his ankle early in the first half, didn't come back, so they needed Mr. Garden to step it up, and Jason does just that. Count it. Arizona starts the second half on a 12-0 run. They're pulling away. Dan and Dick, back to you at the Garden.
Well, Trey, a week from Saturday on ESPN, Arizona against San Diego State. You and I are looking forward to seeing them later on in December at LSU. That'll be a terrific game. Right now we got a terrific game going here in the second semifinal. The Owens Corning preseason NIT. The winner of this game to play Stanford, the surprise winner over Florida in the first game. That'll be the championship game Friday night on ESPN2. The sophomore Jawad Williams and the impressive freshman Rashad McCants lighten it up for Carolina.
You know, I'm impressed with McCants, but I'm also impressed with Jawad Williams. I think his game has been elevated, and also Jackie Manuel and Melvin Scott. The South seem to be playing with much more confidence this year than last year. Last year, mentally, you get into such a funk when you start to lose. I think the Carolina fans are going to have so much to be excited about following these young kids, but they're going to have to understand they're going to be a little patient with them as well.
Here's McCants again.
Oh, he is going to be special, my friends. He is going to be special. He has a nose for the ball. He's explosive. He's got better range than I thought he was going to have, too, as a shooter.
Says his idols growing up were Michael Jordan and Vince Carter, so no surprise he's a Tar Heel, huh?
Wow.
And he's wearing 32 because it's the reverse of Michael's number, 23.
Well, hey, how would you like to have? I'll give you 5 guys in the NBA: Jordan, Stackhouse, Wallace, Carter, and Jameson. How would you like to have those 5?
Look at the hustle, and look at the emotion on that Carolina bench right now.
They're feeling off the emotion of Matt Doherty as well, who was a great role player on that national championship team in '82 with Jimmy Black, and then the big three: Perkins, Worthy, and certainly Jordan. Watch the denial. Look at a great denial. Steps into the passing lane, and then he explodes and finishes. You can see he just loves to play. He and certainly his young buddies, when you talk May and Felton, have played so much basketball. Look at him hustle. Look at him diving on the floor. Getting a TO, baby. I love to see that. Young kids hustling and scrapping.
3-point lead for the Tar Heels right now over Kansas. College basketball feast week here this Thanksgiving week continues Friday night right here on ESPN2. A talented Alabama team taking on Ohio State in the Hall of Fame Tip-Off Classic. We'll have the championship game from this tournament. Stanford against the winner of this game just after 9 Eastern here with the Owens Corning preseason NIT, and then semi-final action from up in Anchorage, the Great Alaska Shootout. What a week of basketball feast week is on ESPN and ESPN2.
There's that man-to-man defense. They overplay, they play real tough, and people have to give help. Trying to deny on the inside.
McCants forcing the issue. Tied up by Hinrich. Ball still loose. And here comes Kansas. Miles, pull up, looking for a shot a little bit more this year, but not hitting so far tonight.
Well, he worked on that shot. He was a quarterback in football out of Portland, Oregon. Loved Terrell Brandon and David Stoudemire. Nice backdoor cut.
Allison to Hinrich. Can't get it. Simeon strip. Carolina ball.
Yeah, Wayne brought the ball down, and once you do that, you reduce your size. You become a little guy.
Let's go to Andy Katz, who spent a lot of time in October at Carolina practices. Andy?
Yeah, I went to a dozen practices in October and November, and it wasn't even close in terms of a head coach being vocal and intense. Matt Doherty was by far the most in both categories.
Dick, does that rub off on the players?
Well, yeah, it does, especially when it's done in a positive manner.
May misses the 15-foot jumper. Here comes Miles again. Jayhawks wanting to push. Nice.
Great drive to the basket, reminiscent of John Vaughn, who played on one of my favorite teams. They didn't win the national title, but they were special. They all graduated. Great kids. When you talk about the likes of that club with LaFrance and Jared Haas, that shot right there. Got to eliminate those. You can't have that happen.
And Miles pushing it again. Sophomore from Portland. Simeon banging inside and a travel.
Well, look at his boom foot.
You asked Roy Williams today to compare Aaron Miles as a sophomore to Jacques Vaughn when he was a sophomore. What did he tell you?
Well, he said he's getting close. Jacques Vaughn was such a special defensive player. As you're looking at Miles right now, offensively attacking the basket, showing that good quickness. But he said he is getting there, and he really loves Aaron Miles. But that team was 34-2. They lost a heartbreaker to Arizona, who went on to win the national title.
Manuel on the feed from Scott.
There's the backdoor cut. Great quickness. You got to be aware. And then they lost a heartbreaker to Missouri in a dramatic game. I mean, that's the only two losses those kids had.
Meanwhile, these sophomores for Carolina are saying, hey, don't forget about the sophomore class just yet, no matter how good the freshmen are. There. Well, we talked about a little grimace and a grab at the back for Hinrich a couple of minutes ago, and he's in a little bit of discomfort.
They certainly need him because really, as we said, they haven't developed the kind of depth yet that they've had in their previous years.
Your pick for player of the year preseason, right?
Oh, I love it. Yep. Nice backdoor cut. Great backdoor cut right there by Mr. Nash, who I think could be a positive force off the bench. I think kids like he and Hawkins, and certainly Mulai as well, who can block shots, Graves can give him some minutes.
Nice save there by Williams.
Backdoor cut is part of their offensive repertoire. And they got numbers right now. They got numbers. Got to find the open man. There he is.
And an offensive foul is called on Keith Langford, and that is foul number 3 on Langford. So now 2 of their big scoring options will sit. Hinrich with a sore back, it appears. Langford with 3 fouls.
Look at this, freeze it. There's the backdoor cut, baby. Mr. Nash. Ryan Nash with the backdoor jam.
Trey Wingo here enjoying the height of Feast Week. Couple of great games going on in Maui. It's Virginia and Indiana. And look at Travis Watson backing his way in. If you're 6'8", 255, you can do that. Virginia up by a point. Back to the NIT, and Andy Katz, an update on Kirk Hinrich, please.
Kirk Hinrich has told the trainers that he's got a strained back, that it's starting to tighten up on him. So right now they're actually giving a rub down while he's outside the huddle. They already went and stretched him a little bit. Obviously, he's going to have to watch that at halftime. They're probably going to try to work on it a little bit even more at the half.
Getting some work down in the corner, and Hinrich out of the game. Jeff Hawkins, a redshirt freshman from Kansas City, Kansas, is into the game now for the first time for the Jayhawks.
I'll tell you one thing, Dan, they've been so dominant in the NIT over the years in the preseason. 1989, they won it by beating an LSU team with Shaq down there at LSU. Then they beat UNLV, who had a great year that year, only lost 1 game. And then they beat St. John's in the final. They won it in 93, and they won it in 97 when they beat Florida State here. And they beat also Arizona State in that one as well.
They've also been incredibly dominant in the month of November. Get this, and they play a tough schedule. Kansas has won 42 of its last 43 games in November. Jawad Williams with the gimme. And the only loss was last year in Maui when Aaron Miles and Nick Collison cramped up and missed some time, and Ball State pulled off the first of their 2 huge wins in that tournament.
Nice post move on the inside. Ball State had some tough luck. Just lost their great forward. Darren Smith is going to be out for the year, and that's a tough break for them down there at Ball State.
Wayne Simeon is going to the line for Kansas. 6'9", 255. Bit of a tender ankle, but nothing too serious. And he's a guy who last year only played 15 minutes per game, but averaged better than 8 points and 5 rebounds per game. So you double the minutes, maybe you double the production. All of a sudden he's putting out Nick Collison type numbers. And here comes Hinrich back into the game.
Obviously, as Hinrich comes in, he didn't get those minutes because of the presence of the All-American Drew Gooden, who certainly I think is going to be such a plus for them down in Memphis and UB Brown. So happy to see UB back doing what he does best, teaching and coaching.
Not a single free throw attempt yet for Carolina. They're also getting badly out-rebounded in this game, but where it matters the most, they're leading on the scoreboard by a deuce.
Yeah, they're doing a great job in terms of their quickness, taking advantage of their quickness, and McCants and Williams have been sensational.
And Felton's on the bench with a couple of fouls, but they're getting some good minutes at the point from Melvin Scott, who's more comfortable as a 2-guard. Mr. Jawad Williams taking Collison out on the perimeter.
trying to spread the court, trying to capitalize on their ability to go one-on-one, beat some people off the dribble, especially when McCants.
Tough look for a three, and Scott knocks it down.
He's got the field tonight. Scott coming up there.
Miles with a carry. Turnover.
The ball. Yes, sir. Andre Patillo with the call. Kansas being tested here tonight by his young North Carolina team. I think a lot of people are shocked.
9th turnover committed by the Jayhawks. Hinrich back in with the sore back. Langford on the bench with 3 fouls.
Have another great recruiting class coming in Kansas. Frank Burleson, who I respect, rates it as one of the top 3 in America.
And a timeout called by Scott. 30-second timeout after he slips to the floor.
David Padgett coming here, about 6'10", who they beat North Carolina out for from out of Reno, Nevada.
More great college basketball feast week action coming your way next here on ESPN2. Up to Alaska for an opening round game of the Great Alaska Shootout. The Oklahoma State Cowboys taking on the host team, the Division II Alaska Anchorage Seawolves. You'll see Michigan State tomorrow night, then a semi and the final, of course, as well. So Maui may be done. Alaska is just beginning, and we're right in the thick of things here in New York. North Carolina with a 5-point lead on Kansas. Rashad McCants, the freshman, another great outing.
Yes, sir. The Asheville Super. Here he is attacking the basket, showing that explosiveness. Now he's going to show range as a shooter. He says, I could take it to the goal, and I could shoot the rock as well. Now we see him on a defensive end with the great denial, and then the finish and the conversion.
Averaging 21 points per game in 3 games coming into this one, and he's already got 13 here tonight. Ooh, Scott used that left arm. Good call by Andre Patillo.
Yeah, an excellent call. He definitely utilized that free hand. You know what I like about him also, McCants? I read some quote where he was stated, as we watch right here, watch the free arm right here. See the push off? There it is. He makes the contact. He made a statement. He said, hey, I don't blame my former high school, Irwin High School in Asheville, for my problems academically. It was me. I was the problem. He said, but I went to New Hampton Prep, and I really matured. And I'm telling you, they say he became a different kid as a student as well, and he has become a tremendous young player.
Collison left it short. Williams might have gotten a piece. McCann said he only did 2 things at prep school: study and play basketball. Looks like he got a lot better at both.
Yeah, I hope he did the first one, study, number 1, and he did. See, they're trying to spread the court, looking for backdoor cuts with quickness.
Manuel gets it back. But Carolina's got some agile athletes in this game.
I like that. Agile, mobile, fragile.
Even the big guy.
He's got hands, hasn't been getting many touches inside, but he's been big in their first 3 games, and he'll be a major factor on the interior.
7-point lead, largest of the night for the underdog Tar Heels, one of the youngest teams in the country, and now they get the ball back as Kansas turns it over again.
They are playing brilliantly. I don't think they could have planned against this outstanding Kansas team. I don't think Matt Doherty could have planned a better performance thus far for the first 18 minutes and 32 seconds of this game.
Try to keep the momentum going into the break. Boy, the minutes they have gotten from Scott have been huge here in the first half.
Scott has really stepped up. Manuel's done a good job defensively. And Jawad Williams, we forget about those super souths.
Yep. Here's Scott again. He's being pressured by Hawkins. Scott with the pull-up.
Wow! He's making that shot, man. He's feeling it. He's feeling it. And he makes the steal. North Carolina, could this be Shot City tonight? We know one thing. They're going to win the first 20 minutes, but you got to win 40.
Manuel takes a bump, finds McCants for 3. And Graves rips down the rebound. 10-second difference, 11 make it between the game clock and shot clock. Hawkins misses a 3. Look at McCants get up in the air.
He's got great legs, great bounce. They're going to back it out, manage the clock, understand shot selection. Look at McCants handling the rock as well. What confidence these kids are building. There's some good young players in the ACC this year. Georgia Tech's got a couple of great ones, and Jared Jack and Chris Bosch. Duke's got a host of new kids.
Foul on the floor. And not in the bonus yet, so Carolina retains possession. Coming up on the halftime report with Trey Wingo and Digger Phelps. An injury to one of Arizona's stars. The Stanford upset in game 1 here tonight over Florida. And the championship game between Indiana and Virginia out in Maui. Stay tuned for all of that. Roy Williams is some kind of unhappy right now with the way his Kansas team has played in the first half, turning the ball over 10 times already.
I think being beaten for a lot of easy baskets will probably disturb him a lot more. The quickness going to the goal, the guys running backdoor cuts.
Felton back in the game for the last possession of the half. Collison with a rebound. Wow, what a bad effort on that.
9-point lead, my friend. 9-point lead for the Tar Heels.
A 7-0 run to win the half. What an impressive first 20 minutes for Rashad McCants and the underdog, youthful North Carolina Tar Heels, who have a 9-point lead on the #2 team in the country, the Kansas Jayhawks. But as Dickie V said, 20 more minutes to go. Another test for these Tar Heels, who have already won 3 games, including a win over Rutgers and then a road win over Old Dominion. But another test is coming here tonight in the second half. Matt Doherty has to be thrilled. He's standing by with our Andy Katz. Andy?
20 more minutes left.
Coach, you're just saying 20 more minutes. Is this the plan so far?
My mom just comes up to me and congratulates me. I'm saying, Mom, I got 20 more minutes. We haven't won a game yet, but we want to control tempo, yes, and spread it and try to drive it a little bit. And we've been doing that. We've had some success, and fortunately, they're missing some shots at the other end. Knock on wood. Hopefully, that continues for another 20.
What did you see in the first 3 games, though, that gives you confidence that your freshmen and your sophomores can hold their composure in a game like this in the second half?
They're not in awe. They like this setting. They're good ball handlers, and they're strong drivers. So hopefully, again, knock on wood, they keep it up for 20 more minutes.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Let's go back to Dan.
Andy, thank you very much. How about Mom, huh? How about Mom?
Mom says, we got a W already, son. Come home for some turkey, some Thanksgiving tomorrow. It'll be a great time in Long Island.
Back to Trey Wingo in the studio.
All right, Dan and Dick, and let's be honest, a mom's job is to have positive reinforcement. And so far, the baby Tar Heels of Carolina giving Mom and Mr. Doherty everything to be happy about. Much more on that game coming up on the halftime report. Also, highlights of the first game between Stanford and Florida. A ranked team goes down, and they're not the only team that goes down. As we are in the height of feast week here, college basketball galore past the dressing.
The Owens Corning preseason NIT continues. This is the second semifinal and somewhat of a surprising first half. I think we'd all agree. The North Carolina Tar Heels with a 9-point lead on the #2 team in the country, the Kansas Jayhawks. One of their senior stars, Kirk Hinrich, left late in the first half with a sore back, it appeared. For the latest on him, here's Andy Katz.
Well, Kansas trainer Mark Carnes treated it with some heat and some massage. Bottom line is he's going to have to play through it, and he will play in the second half.
Well, Andy, he came out and took one layup and then went right over to the bench for some treatment. And this appears to be when the injury occurred. There he is, grabbing that back right away. That's midway through the first half. And if you can read his lips, you can say, I can't move side to side. He just cannot move like he needs to move. And you're talking about one of the very best players in the country right now. And Kansas needs him to come back here in the second half. How about Carolina leading despite getting out-rebounded and not getting to the free throw line once? One of the big reasons Kansas turned the ball over 11 times.
Well, we take a look at the shooting percentage. Carolina really excelled. They spread the court just as their coaches planned and utilized their quickness, and they had a great balance of time. We're going to see right now Juwan Williams finishing off, and now we're going to watch Mr. McCann showing his range as a shooter. Everybody talked about him at halftime. And as Melvin Scott came up big with 7 big points, and there's Mr. May. He's going to score inside just like his daddy did down in Indiana. Oh, Carolina. Oh, they had a great 20 minutes. Matt says, why can't that clock run? Why can't it run?
What a half, but as Matt Doherty told Andy Katz and his own mother at the end of the first half, 20 more minutes to go. An eternity here. Kansas down 9. Hinrich in the lineup, turns it over right away. Manuel, nice bounce pass to Felton, who's fouled.
Jackie Manuel and Felton really get out in transition. We have not seen the scoring expertise yet of Raymond Felton, but I was told last night at dinner by Howard Garfinkel as we watched Carolina in transition after the turnover. Look at that speed and that quickness. Look at them get out, those two guys. Spread the court, good bounce pass, good execution. Well coached in attacking the 2-on-1. But Howard Garfinkel told me last night, he said, I saw Mr. Felton play in high school against the Matha High School and a great Morgan Wooten team, and he single-handedly, he said he absolutely carried his team to the victory, Latta High School, and put on one of the greatest displays of any guard I've ever witnessed.
He averaged better than 30 points per game last year. And as we mentioned, he was the National High School Player of the Year. But you can see he's got some help inside in May. He's got some help on the wing in McCants. Williams stepping up. Scott playing well. Manuel playing well. Doesn't have to do it himself. Hinrich gets the friendly bounce.
Nice drive by Hinrich, but they're going to have to get some touches for Collison. Collison only shot the ball 4 times in the first half. He was 2 for 4. Williams bringing him out to the outside. See out of perimeter, opening up for the backdoor cut. There's the spread. No help from the weak side.
Well, Sean May got a high basketball IQ or what?
They did a great job spreading the court, and May with that excellent pass.
Near turnover as Miles hits the floor. Simeon strong inside.
They are spreading the court, getting really wide, taking advantage of their quickness. I wonder what Dean Smith's thinking watching. One of my favorite coaches of all time, one of the greatest. And the one thing I love about Dean and Roy Williams and what they did over the years at Kansas and North Carolina and Bill Guthridge, you never heard anything about NCAA violations and cheating. Players graduated from 2 of the great programs in America.
Steal by Hinrich. Bad back and all up the floor. Finds a wide open Langford. And Felton runs down the rebound.
Somebody has got to get the ball inside to Mr. Collison and introduce himself and realize he's one of the premier baseline players in America.
Well, they had an easy look from Miles in the first half. Now May gets free. Somebody missed an assignment.
I have never seen a Kansas team give up this many easy layups as I've seen here tonight. And I know Roy cannot be pleased with their defensive effort.
Another turnover. Manuel. Felton.
Oh, yes, that's Mr. Felton. They're going to need a timeout, baby. I'll tell you one thing, these North Carolina kids aren't going away.
Langford playing with 3 fouls, and now he draws a foul as Roy Williams lets the game continue in spite of a 13-point deficit.
Watch this up here with May. Great pass inside. Now he's going to take the ball strong to the basket. We're going to watch the backdoor cut right here. Now watch this. Freeze it. Look at this here. They're spreading the court wide. There's no help coming this way, and there's the backdoor cut. McCants, the easy layup, because you can't get help in that kind of situation. You got to play tough on your man. This Kansas team right now has really not displayed the kind of talent and ability that we know they have. I mean, this is a great basketball team. I don't care what happens here tonight. This Kansas team is going to have a great, great year. They're well coached. They got too many good players. They're right now in a funk, and they got to step it up because they are meeting a heck of a challenge here by this young North Carolina team.
And again, this young team led by the 3 freshman starters. There's one of them, May, with another jumper. Sean May said just a few days ago, we're not freshmen. We're basketball players who happen to be in our first year. They've played AAU. They've played McDonald's All-American All-Star games. They are not intimidated by anywhere or anyone at the college level.
I tell you, they're playing with so much poise. That's the part that's really impressing me. The poise they're displaying.
They've already turned a 9-point halftime lead into a 15-point lead, and they've hit all 4 of their shots here in the second half. May the offensive rebound. Too easy inside.
He needs a timeout, baby. They need a timeout. They got to regroup. This North Carolina team is showing people they're for real, man. Oh, it ain't playing. It ain't playing. Are you serious?
Big lead for Carolina. This is the family of our boss, our coordinating producer, Dan Steer. That's his brother on the left, his dad on the right, and his nephew all of a sudden is a Carolina fan.
That's his dad, man. I got to be good to his dad. He'll give me better assignments. Come on, Mr. Steer. Help me out. That's his nephew. He asked me for an autograph earlier. He asked me for an autograph, that kid. Oh, wow. The Steer family.
And they're liking what they're seeing from the Tar Heels, don't they?
Oh, everybody likes what they're seeing except the Kansas fans. Watch this offensive rebound by Mr. May. Look at those hands. His daddy didn't have hands like that, and his daddy was player of the year in college basketball. My favorite team of all time, the 76 Indiana team. They played the game defensively, offensively, had great balance. Buckner, Wilkerson, May, Laskowski, guys like Mr. Benson inside, Abernathy. Take a look at my guy, Scotty May. Oh, he's going to be proud of his son. First-round draft choice of the Chicago Bulls. There he is working on the inside. 32 in zip they were. Coached by that shy, introverted guy, Robert Montgomery Knight. Look at the pants they're wearing. Does he go up to the jump shot of Mr. May?
And here's his son, Sean, a McDonald's All-American from Bloomington, Indiana, checking back into the game. He has been dominant in the first 3 minutes and change here in the second half.
He's going to be a special player down there at North Carolina. I know one thing. I'm going to love. It's going to heat up, Mr. Doherty and Mr. Krzyzewski on Tobacco Road. Oh, it's going to be exciting again. That's the way it should be. It's supposed to be that way.
Each school with some of the best freshmen in America. Roy Williams said yesterday he thinks Carolina has 3 of the best 10 freshmen in the country in Felton, McCants, and May.
Well, I think you can make that argument.
Air ball by Williams. Rebound Jayhawks on the run. Look ahead. Hinrich.
Give it up. Give it up.
A travel is the call before he gave it up.
He is really struggling. There's no doubt the kid is in pain. He's trying to gut through this. I think if this situation wasn't where they were down 15, he probably would not be playing. But he is in pain right now.
If you missed it, a hard fall in the first half and some back pain ever since. Missed a little bit of time at the end of the first half and still grimacing up and down the floor here in the second half.
But it was zone right now defensively. Came out of the man-to-man. Take away those backdoor cuts.
Manual no. And Kansas comes up with a rebound.
A lot of time left in this game.
Yeah, good effort there by Manuel to rip it away. It's a held ball, and it's Carolina's ball.
I'll tell you one thing. Those Carolina kids just keep fighting and scrapping and clawing. They are really battling. Matt Doherty's got to be proud of his North Carolina Tar Heels.
It's the underdogs feasting on the favorites here in New York. Big 15-point lead for the underdog Tar Heels right now. More college basketball feast week action coming your way Friday night here on ESPN2. Irwin Dudley in Alabama, number 6 in the country, taking on Ohio State in the Hall of Fame Tip-Off Classic. And Dick and I will be here in New York for the championship game. Stanford against the winner of this one. And then a semifinal from the Great Alaska Shootout at midnight Eastern Time. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. That's who the Jayhawks need.
Danny of the Miracles. He's there with his son. He's cheering. Told me he'd still like to play. So any GMs out there need some help, Mr. Versatility. And a really classy guy from a good family. I'll tell you what, there's a GM. Come on, Ernie, go give the guy a contract. You're sitting here watching your son play. Go give him a contract.
Let's go cross-court. Andy Katz with more on the Kansas huddle. Andy.
It was actually a calm huddle, but Roy Williams stressing to his team, take a possession at a time. Try not to get it all in one bunch. Don't get ahead of yourselves.
Back to the man-to-man. Came out of the zone. Let's see how they handle the backdoor cuts. There's the spread offensively. They got a good passer at the post in May. In North Carolina, you don't want to get too conservative.
May, not this time. Loose ball goes to Kansas.
He played in high school with Jared Jeffries. They lost one game. They lost to Zach Randolph for the state championship. Randolph dominated.
There's a look inside, and Simeon misses it.
I'll tell you, it's been struggle city all night for the Jayhawks. It has been a struggle for Roy Williams' kids tonight.
The first meeting between Kansas and North Carolina since 1993, when Carolina won in the Final Four. Prior to that, Collison.
Yes, Mr. Collison, the All-American. Oh, Rolls Royce. Hey, guys, get the kid to rock.
Double figures for Collison. Last meeting before the 93 Final Four. 91 Final Four.
Yeah. 93, Carolina won the national title, won it all.
91, Kansas won that game. First meeting, though, in 9 years. First time Matt Doherty and Roy Williams have opposed one another as head coaches, of course, friends. Roy Williams recruited Matt Doherty to North Carolina. Matt Doherty says Roy Williams is like a big brother to me. McCants gets the roll.
But what a pass to make the play happen. Felton with the great look. McCants the movement without the ball. 93, they beat the Fab Five from Michigan for the national title. What a fraud that turned out to be. Those guys getting so much cash. Boy, I hate to see them penalize innocent kids like Tommy Amica's kids. Should penalize the guys that made that happen back in the early 90s. Take away those banners, take away the wins, forfeit, and write a big check out to the NCAA, but don't penalize innocent kids.
Shot clock winding down. Hinrich in trouble. Another turnover.
What a great job these young guys are doing defensively as well. We keep commenting about their offensive ability, but defensively as a boy is so frustrated right now, and I don't blame him. The guy's a great teacher, motivator. Dean Smith flat out tells you, in his estimation, obviously he's biased because he's been so close to him, but he says the best in America. Certainly one of the Rolls-Royce coaches in the nation.
Roy Williams said in the soundbite we played earlier, they're going to run all the time because they obviously feel they're quicker than other teams, and other teams will take possessions off every now and again. Carolina hasn't done that tonight. This guy doesn't look like he ever takes anything off.
I cannot believe the easy layups I am seeing tonight against this Kansas defense. There's no help. No one rotated over in the zone. You don't see that with Kansas.
19 points from McCants.
Dan, nobody came over. I can't believe that. Nobody gave help.
Right now, the Pupils team is really outdoing the Mentors team. Matt Doherty was kidding around yesterday, and he said it earlier tonight to Andy Katz. He said, I'd like my chances a lot better if it was just me and Roy Williams one-on-one because I could post him up. But 5-on-5, his kids are doing just fine, thank you.
But you talk to Matt Doherty, you can tell by his voice that he's really, really impressed with his young people.
Collison gets another look and the bounce.
Got good touch. State championship 3 years in a row. Played for his dad in high school. Lost one game in high school in 3 years. His dad and Hinrich's dad went to the same college, didn't play at the same time at Briarcliff. Nice article in Sports Illustrated about that. Coach there talked about both guys and how they've been such an effect on their kids. They're in a matchup zone right now. Slowing it down a little bit, taking some time off that clock.
McCants again, just trying to make a move on the baseline. Collison got a piece of the jumper. Kansas down to 15.
They got to make something happen. They need a 4 or 5 minute spurt if they're going to make this a game down the stretch.
Well, here's the guy who can do it. Collison as he draws the foul on Noel.
And they're so capable, Kansas. They just got to get a little lift and a little momentum, but North Carolina, they just don't want to be denied. No. How good is Rutgers? That Rutgers had them by 11.
No.
Gary Waters' kids, and they went out and beat Temple.
Well, and I think Gary Waters would be the first to tell you Rutgers should be playing in this game. The Scarlet Knights let almost a sure thing get away from them with an 11-point lead, 6 minutes to go, and they just fumbled the ball away and took bad shots. Look at that play by May.
Great defense, denial. Read that all away. That was, you know, the shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Right.
I should have had this. I would have done this. I could have done this. The bottom line is they're not here.
That's right.
But he's going to do a great job, Gary Waters.
Yes.
He really is.
I think they're a sleeping giant in the Big East.
They're a dangerous team with Coleman and the big guy inside.
17 turnovers now, by the way, for Kansas. Felton from the free throw line.
Once he starts heating up and he starts getting his offensive prowess in terms of scoring, watch out, and he's capable.
Raymond Felton with 8. The lead back to 17. The turnovers now up to 18 for Kansas.
There have been so many great point guards. When I think of North Carolina point guards, you certainly think about Phil Ford, who to me, in my estimation, was the best point guard I've watched in college basketball. And then you talk about the quickness, explosiveness of Kenny Smith, right out of New York.
Tip is good.
It's all North Carolina. It's all North Carolina. They want it more. They're hungrier here tonight.
McCants gets the bucket. He's got 21, matching his season average.
Think of Ed Cota had certainly a great career at North Carolina. But Felton, when it's all done, is going to be right there.
And Matt Doherty's been very careful. He doesn't want the expectations to get out of hand on Raymond Felton. Look at Sean May. I just look. Sean May is poised. He comes down with the ball and he says, okay. And that's going to go.
I wonder if he knows how good he can be if he just trims down a little bit too to add some more quickness to everything else he has.
Because the hands are there, the feet are there, the IQ is there.
Yeah, he's got great basketball savvy, understanding of the game. What a different look Carolina team from last year. Wow.
But as good as you knew they were, aren't you shocked by what's going on?
Totally shocked. Totally shocked. Absolutely. I'll be very honest with you. I thought we were going to see Florida and Kansas. We may see them in a consolation game.
That's right. Jam for Simeon on the feed from Hinrich. Still a 17-point game. Kansas and Florida potentially in the consolation game. North Carolina and Stanford, two teams many people thought wouldn't even make it this far, potentially in the championship game. But again, better than 10 minutes to go in this one. And Kansas, the highest scoring team in the country last year. They're explosive.
They're not making anything happen with their defense. Their defense has been struggling all night long. And Mr. May has been such a factor. Look at him working on the inside. There's the touch. There's the tip-in by McCants.
Trey Wingo in the ESPN2 studios. It's getting good in Maui. Virginia and Indiana trading threes at this point. Virginia kicks it out to Derek Byers, who buries it. He puts Virginia up by 3, but wait, hang on. Here comes the freshman that Digger was talking about. Bracey right at 3 of his own. He's got 15, tied at 42. Denon Dick, it's awesome, baby.
Well, Carolina has been awesome, baby, here tonight in the second semifinal of the Owens Corning preseason NIT. A shocker, says Dickie V. A 17-point lead for the Tar Heels over the Kansas Jayhawks. Why? How? Well, 18 turnovers by Kansas. Hinrich not 100%, playing with a bad back. And Rashad McCants yet another astounding freshman performance, and the competition level keeps going up and up, and these Carolina kids keep playing as well as they did the first 3 games.
Well, you know, I think a lot of people, including yours truly, thought after the first half, when they had that big lead, that Kansas would come out in the first 4 or 5 minutes, dominate, and get back in the game. But these North Carolina kids have not backed down. They have won the second half as well as the first half.
Listening in on the Carolina huddle was Andy Katz. Andy?
And what was amazing was how composed Carolina was in the huddle. They weren't jumping up and down if they were up 19, and Matt Doherty wasn't either. Very poised, and they're ready to try to finish this off in the last 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
I think the guys in the white uniforms are less surprised by their success tonight than anybody else in the building.
Well, I know one guy's right now expected it right there with the ball in his hands. Right out of the gate, he said, hey, I can play. Look at him right here. Look at him right here. He wants to take it to the goal.
Everything but the finish from McCants. It was 9 at the half. It's 17 now for Carolina, trying to go to 4-0. Mulai Nyan couldn't handle the pass from Jeff Graves, and there is yet another turnover committed by the Jayhawks.
Now, this has not been a typical North Kansas team here tonight. There's a look at Kirk Hinrich. He's the heart and soul of that team. But right now, look at here the turnovers. For a turnover margin of first 2 games tonight, a -12.
They have thrown it away 19 times here tonight.
They have not been able to stop North Carolina defensively with them spreading the court and attacking the basket.
Nice little hesitation by McCants, and he draws the foul.
They got something special there in McCants, May, and Felton.
Well, it sure looks like the dominant theme of the first 2 weeks of the college basketball season has been, as you like to say, the diaper dandies, whether it's Florida, whether it's North Carolina, whether it's Duke. Freshmen are getting a chance to play more than ever before because some of the big programs lose kids early to the NBA, and these kids can play.
This kid right now, he's as calm as can be, man. He's the 3C man. He's calm, cool, and collective. Look at those numbers. I mean, he's backing it up right on the floor. What a performance. I think a lot of North Carolina people got to be stunned. I would love to listen to the voice right now of Woody Durham and Mick Mixon. They do a great job, both guys. Woody, a legend in broadcasting, and Mick certainly. There's a look right here. Here's Woody right now looking up facts. That's Mick. Come on, Mick, you're on the air. Don't play around. You guys are on the air getting some. Look at this night now. Look at Mick. I'll tell you this. They are working and working, looking up the numbers, Woody, but they do a great job. But so does Bob Davis and Max Falkenstein. 57 years, the voice of Kansas.
Amazing.
Has to be stunned because everybody just raves about the Kansas basketball team.
Right now, 3 bench players in the game for Kansas. Hinrich is out. Collison is out. You've got guys like Nyan and Graves in the game. Just a couple of starters out there. Nash is on the floor as well. Is this it, or is this just a breather for the big guys?
I think they got to be totally stunned at what they're witnessing here. And sometimes, as we say, a little humbling party can wake you up. Look at the backdoor cuts. We've been seeing this all night long. All night long. Little Lionel Richie. All night long, baby. Saw him in concert with Tina Turner, and it was electrifying.
You talked early tonight about that first step of McCants. He is gone.
Look at that first step. He just explodes to the basket. Keith Campbell working the game tonight along with Andre Padillo and our guy right there, Mike Wood. He's from Asheville, North Carolina, where Rashad McCants is from. A New Hampton prep really did him a lot of good. Look at him, got a little smile on his face. He smells that W. He smells the championship round. He smells Thanksgiving Turkey Day is going to be special. It's always special. Man, somebody said to me, you haven't been home in 24 years, a writer interviewing me. Doesn't that get you? I said, are you kidding me? I'm thankful every day's Thanksgiving, man. Anybody that can make the living I make, as ugly as I am, and don't have any ability, you got to be thankful.
It sure beats working for a living.
Wow.
Matt Doherty used to work for a living down on Wall Street, decided he wanted to become a basketball coach, and he's working for a living, and it's paying off big time so far this season. A huge lead. A stunning development here in New York tonight. North Carolina up big on Kansas in the second semifinal of the Owens Corning preseason NIT. The winner to advance and to meet Stanford in the championship game. They surprised Florida again. Kansas, the highest scoring team in the country last year. Look at all they've been able to manage here tonight.
It's been all North Carolina, my friends. This is vintage Carolina, the way they're playing. This is the old days again. Now Doherty's got to be jumping with joy. James Worthy, Michael Jordan, look at Mr. Doherty. I mean, he's got to be shocked. I know he's stunned looking at those numbers. I don't think he can possibly believe what's happened here tonight. He can't believe it. I know it. There's no way in the world he can convince me that he would believe he'd be up 21 on Kansas.
ESPN2's presentation of the Owens Corning NIT preseason tournament is presented by Owens Corning, Innovations for Living.
Sorry, I don't know where that food is.
Well, I want to get.
You and I got to go there tomorrow, huh?
No, we're going for something to eat tonight. I am starving, man. We've been working here all day. We got here at 4 this afternoon. We're here 9 in the morning and shoot around. I'm starving. Get me some food.
What a night for North Carolina right now with a huge lead on Kansas. The Jayhawks stunned. Everybody in the building, I think, stunned. Andy Katz has more. Andy?
Yeah, in the Kansas huddle, they're talking about communication, that the point guards aren't communicating with the forwards, that they've got to get on the same page. That's what a lot of these costly turnovers have been. Just basically careless errors where one player is not looking at the other.
I'll tell you, they've added up. You got 20 turnovers for Kansas and only 7 for North Carolina. 1 in this half. That's almost a 3-to-1 ratio. Very difficult to win when you're not playing well offensively and you're not defending. And tonight, this has not been reminiscent of Kansas defense.
Roy Williams has Collison and Hinrich back in the game. Miles is out there too. Michael Lee is on the floor now for Kansas. Hinrich comes off a screen, misses a 3, and it's out of bounds off Graves.
I'll tell you one thing, though. It will not last like that wearing a Jayhawk uniform. There's too much pride in that coaching staff. So good to see Steve Robinson there with Roy Williams. Steve went down to Florida State, did a great job at Tulsa, and I know there'll be another job waiting for him.
Stolen by Graves. Big guy rumbling down the floor. No call on the contact, and they throw it away again.
Yeah, surprise, no call there. Looked like contact. They just really have not been in sync tonight. The rhythm has not been there offensively, and you got to credit that to North Carolina's quickness.
Roy Williams keeps looking down the bench, but I don't think he sees any guys on the bench he'd rather have in the game right now. He's tried everybody, and nothing's working.
See Williams trying to take a big guy away from the basket, Collison.
Down to 7:09 left, 62-41. Kansas has 12 points this half in almost 18 minutes of action.
Wow, what an interesting year in the ACC. I know Georgia Tech certainly going to really be a good basketball team. Herb Sendik's done a heck of a job regrouping down there. Julius Hodge will be special in a tough break, losing Escobar, but they're a deep team.
Looking forward to the ACC Big Ten Challenge on Tuesday and Wednesday. Duke's going to play Ohio State, Maryland, Indiana, Virginia, Michigan State, Carolina, Illinois.
A lot of people preseason were really down on the ACC, and I'm telling you, it's shaping up that the ACC is going to be a lot better than people believe with Maryland, Virginia, and you look at North Carolina, you certainly look at NC State, Wake Forest. I think it's going to be an interesting, exciting year again in ACC basketball.
Yeah, they lost a lot of talent, but they have brought in a lot of talent. Outstanding freshmen up and down the ACC. Melvin Scott going out. He was huge for Carolina in the first half when Raymond Felton sat down with 2 fouls. Scott came in, handled the ball well, hit some shots, and had 5 steals in the first half.
That is not typical of Kansas. Roy, they won 8 league titles under him, 4 conference championships, 390 games in 14 years. Are you kidding me? Those are Hall of Fame numbers.
He's won better than 80% of his games in 14 years at Kansas.
I love Raymond Felton. I'll tell you one thing. I watched about 2-3 minutes of him, and I see stardom all over his game as well.
Gerard Williams
And Scott Emmanuel have really improved. But right now, they're not certainly getting the kind of PR that the young kids. That's a great fake inside, great entry to the post. That's Kansas offense right there. Spread the court, get good spacing. This kid can really handle the rock.
Making a lot of good decisions, and McCants, as you talked about, playing with a lot of poise all night long.
Look at this here. This kid can handle the rock.
Carolina doing it inside, where you figured Kansas would have an advantage with Collison and Simeon.
There they are, spreading the court. Foul line extended. Take away any kind of help from the weak side. They're running some clock, some time off the clock. Look at that move. Kick it out. Are you serious? Oh, that goes down. They would have been jumping for joy, but that was created again. He's going to be an old Thomas Edison. He's going to be an inventor, creator, innovator. Mr. Felton, wow. Long way to go before he'll be in Phil Ford's category, but I'm telling you, he's heading in that direction.
2 years ago, Carolina had an 18-game winning streak, ranked #1 in the nation in February, and Matt Doherty, in his first year as the head coach there, he was the BMOC, as you like to say. But then last year, 8-20, all of a sudden it's, why didn't they get this guy? Why didn't they get that guy? Now the pendulum's starting to swing back the other way.
I tell you, coaching is such a frustrating way to make a living. They love you. It's what you've done for me today, my friend. And they are spreading the court, showing poise. They are playing the #2 in America, a team in America. And some people say the best in America. And they have dominated from wire to wire.
They get all tangled up on the baseline. Going to stay with Carolina. It started in the first minute of the game when Rashad McCants put the ball on the floor, went up, crammed it home with 2 hands, and everybody in the building went, whoa.
You're right, Dan. We even went whoa. We were like stunned and shocked in the first 2 minutes watching them get out in transition.
Hinrich was the Kansas player tumbling out of bounds. Remember, he's favoring that back injury that he suffered in the first half.
What's that song? What a difference a year makes. Oh, my God. What a difference. What a difference.
Numbers for the Jayhawks, and a foul is called against Carolina. Just over 5 minutes to play. College basketball feast week continues Friday night here on ESPN2. Ohio State, Alabama in the tip-off classic, looking more and more like Stanford and Carolina in the championship of the Owens Corning preseason NIT, and then a semifinal game from the Great Alaska Shootout. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Great tournament wrapping up tonight in Maui. Great tournament beginning tonight in Anchorage. And we're in the midst of a good night of basketball here in New York City. And frankly, nobody thought Stanford and North Carolina would be able to come in here and knock off Florida and Kansas.
Look at the recognition by Felton. As soon as the trap came, as soon as he saw the trap, Hinrich come at him and rotate over, he immediately looked for the open man, knowing that obviously someone would be open. Boy, Williams got a great class coming in next year with Dave Padgett from Reno, Nevada. Omar Wilkes, you remember his daddy. See right there, see here comes the double up. And as soon as he sees the double up, he finds the open man who gets fouled. Wilkes' son, Jamal Wilkes, who was the star at UCLA, will be coming here. J.R. Giddings, 6'5" athlete from out of Oklahoma, and Jeremy Case from out of Oklahoma. So they got a great class. Everybody rates their class top 5. Matt couldn't give many scholarships out for next year because of the rule that exists, giving out as many as he did this year.
Dick, you know as well as anybody, and you talk about it a lot, the importance of the point guard. And last year, the Tar Heels had Melvin Scott at the point, had Adam Boone at the point, had Brian Morrison at the point. Morrison and Boone both transferred. There was some doubt. Who's the point guard? How's the offense going to run? There's no doubt about it this year with Raymond Felton at the point.
Well, Felton certainly is the guy that makes things happen. I really believe in college basketball to win big, you need that leadership and direction from your point guard. And there's so many great ones this year in college basketball. Don't forget this kid's name, Jameer Nelson from St. Joe's, who did a brilliant job as they beat, you talk about a shocking score, 85-58 Boston College at Boston College, who came back Tuesday and blew away Boston.
That's right. BU gave Stanford such a tough time in the first round of this tournament. Now here's Stanford sitting and waiting to go to the championship game, having knocked off Xavier and Florida to get there.
He wants to rock. This little guy wants to rock. Just like he bounced it on the pavement in Ladder. He wants to rock. Took a bad shot there. He's, oh, no. What did I do there? You can...
That's been one of the few things that's gone wrong for North Carolina here tonight. They are feasting on the heavy favorites from Lawrence, Kansas.
Trey Wingo here with you in our studios. Digger's back with me from watching the Maui game, and he was watching this. UVA down by 6. Indiana's Jeff Newton says, scratch that, let's make it 9. He hits the 3. Indiana beginning to pull away. They lead by 11. Meanwhile, coming up next, after the preseason NIT, it's Melvin Sanders and Oklahoma State taking on Alaska Anchorage. You knew what I meant, Cannon. You knew it.
Getting to be that time of the night, especially if you're a Kansas fan. A stunner here, a 16-point lead for Carolina, and they have had some outstanding performances here tonight.
Oh, they've had some brilliant. Watch right here, McCants with the backdoor cut. The great pass by May. Now we'll watch him, May, just attack the basket like his dad did through his career at Indiana. Look at the passing, the movement without the basketball. McCants again, right down the gut of the defense. Tonight's best of the best.
Freshmen who are not playing like freshmen here in New York City.
You know, usually, as you and I were talking off the air, Kansas dictates tempo, dictates the style of the game. They have not been able to dictate anything here tonight. They're going to get a timeout, try to utilize and maximize the game just like they learned under Dean Smith. Dean Smith was a master at the end of the game, and Roy sat next to him for 10 years. What a great staff with Eddie Fogler, Bill Guthridge and company.
Got it down to 13, 3.5 to go. As Trey mentioned, more college basketball action coming your way tonight as Feast Week continues here on ESPN2. We take you north up to Anchorage, Oklahoma State against Alaska Anchorage in a first-round game at the Great Alaska Shootout. Tomorrow night, you can get a look at Michigan State from that tournament. Villanova is also up there, Wyoming as well. So a good field in Alaska, a good field here in New York City. The Final Four, if you will, at the preseason NIT. And there's Mom Doherty.
Yes,
she
sir.
predicted it at halftime, right?
Yes, sir. She went up to her son, said, congratulations. Wait a minute, we got to play another 20 minutes. Well, now he's only got to play 3:32. And you know what? This lead is not insurmountable. I mean, they really, we saw last night, for example, Indiana with a big lead, and Gonzaga got back to where they had a chance to tie the game up. Look at him handle the rock.
But there's something wrong with him. Now he's grimacing a little bit. Look at, there's something wrong with Raymond Felton right now.
Exactly. He's in a little pain.
Might have been when he split the double team back in the backcourt.
See, they haven't been able to make anything happen defensively. And over the years, Kansas has made things happen with their defense. They've created offense off their defense.
They are on an 11-3 run right now, but there's less than 3 minutes to go.
Get the ball inside the Collison. Get him some touches.
Miles, no. And underneath, a rejection by May. Shot clock does not reset. Turnaround, Simeon.
Simeon has really been quiet tonight.
And now again, Carolina going to use as much clock as they can. Roy Williams has won all 3 of the previous preseason NITs as the Kansas head coach, 89, 93, and 97. Williams 14-0 in the preseason NIT. He said yesterday that doesn't matter. Different year, different team, different opposition. But boy, did he run into a buzzsaw in North Carolina here tonight.
And he was so excited about this team, the potential of his club, talking to us today. Good defense right there. Shot clock violation.
Let 35 more seconds come off the clock, and now it's just over 2 minutes standing between Matt Doherty's Tar Heels and a spot in the championship game against Mike Montgomery's Stanford Cardinal Friday night. And you can see 9 Eastern here on ESPN2.
And it's hard to believe, and the consolation will be Kansas and Florida. It's got to look strong.
Oh boy, another block. Manuel is a terrific defensive player.
Yeah, he really is. He's very active, very quick, got great legs. What a magnificent performance by the kids from Chapel Hill. Yes, my friends, basketball is back the way it's supposed to be in Tobacco Road. Spread the court. Oh, they're going to love these kids down there. Those Tar Heel fans are going to love these kids. They're going to have them excited. Style of play. Look at him pass the ball, May. May really can pass the ball.
You know, there's a lot of folks down in ACC country who enjoyed, fans of other schools I'm talking about, enjoyed seeing Carolina take their lumps last year.
Oh, sure.
Hopefully they had their laughs last year, because that's all over right now.
Well, you know, that happens with any winner. It happens with the Yankees in baseball. It certainly happens Notre Dame in football. I mean, you go on, Duke in basketball. People that are up on top want to knock them down. I mean, this is the way of life.
Yep.
But the great ones just find a way to survive, and survive. And North Carolina is just too great a school, too much tradition, that you know they're going to excite X number of kids in this country that want to wear their uniform.
You know, they took their lumps, but Matt Doherty just kept working and believing and recruiting. Got a great class, and you can see the look on Roy Williams' face. He didn't expect this. Rashad McCants, from the moment this game began, it looks like he did expect this from himself and his team here tonight. A game-high 25 for the freshman Rashad McCants.
Spread in the court really well. I don't like that rule, the 5-and-3 rule that exists in recruiting. So that's really reduced the opportunities for Matt Doherty to add to his class. And he just doesn't want to give a scholarship out to anyone.
Right.
They were in a battle for two big kids, lost them to Wisconsin. They lost Brian Butch, who went to Wisconsin, wanted to stay at home, and Dave Paget, who went to who decided to go to Kansas. But that's going to happen. You're not going to get every kid you want.
30-second timeout, Kansas, with the lead down to 11, but just a minute and 1 second to play. Well, let's tentatively look ahead to a championship game. Not the game we expected, but tell us what you've seen from Stanford versus Carolina here today.
Well, the one thing that North Carolina is going to have to do tomorrow on Turkey Day, when they get into the gym and work out, and that's what coaches do even on the holidays, is they're going to have to work on attacking the zone defense, because Stanford's certainly going to show them a lot of zone.
Here's a recap of what happened in game one. A much closer game. Rob Little had the game of his life. Career highs in points and rebounds for the Cardinal, and Florida, like Kansas, just looked out of sync, just didn't have the same kind of smooth flow that they had in the first 3 games of the season.
Well, their defense again broke down, and their defense didn't create offensive opportunities. Roy Williams and Billy Donovan both utilized so much out of their defense, and it just didn't happen tonight.
There's the foul as Miles wraps up Felton.
I really like Felton too. I really love having guys that are leaders out there. You look across America, Steve Blake down in Maryland. You think about the perimeter play for Indiana. That's why they excel with Coverdale, Hornsby, and Bracey Wright. You look at teams out there like Arizona with Gardner and his people that he has backing up, Bynum. You got to have great guard play. And this is what North Carolina is going to have now with this kid at the controls.
Well, over the years, there have been a lot of great college point guards who may not necessarily have gone into great pro careers, but in the college game, as you said, I mean, and I know Bobby Hurley's an example you bring out a lot. At the college game, if you want to be an elite team, you pretty much need an elite college point guard.
Yeah, he's got to be a reflection of the coach. He's got to do the things the coach wants, and he's got to be the catalyst to make things happen. Oh, look at this right here. Manuel again.
Yep.
He says, you may be All-American, my friend, but tonight it belongs to me. It has been all North Carolina tonight, and they have so much to celebrate and cheer for. And bet your last dollar that Kansas will be in the hunt. See me a month from now, my friend, and look at their numbers, and they'll be where they normally are.
Well, and what you like best about college basketball, this doesn't cripple Kansas, it doesn't cripple Florida, but they lost.
Right, like in football. Like in football. Except the one thing I don't like in football, the rule that exists that you can go to a BCS bowl and even lose 4 or 5 games, like a Florida State, if they win their championship in the ACC. Supposed to have the best against the best. Oh, nice backdoor cut right there. We do it the right way in college hoops, man. You tip it off, you all play against each other, even though the BCS is a lot better than what it used to be.
Now Miles again commits the foul. It's going to send McCants to the line. It's academic now. It's at Doherty. Come on, huge win. Let's see a smile.
Well, he doesn't want. He knows that, you know, he's smart right now. I don't want to rub it in, but you know inside he feels like $1 million. But the bottom line is he learned so much from Roy Williams. He's so grateful to him. He worked on his staff for 6 years. He played in North Carolina while Roy Williams was a member of that staff when they won the national title in '82.
But as he said yesterday, when you coach against a friend, and Williams is more than a friend, sometimes you feel worse winning than losing because you know what the feelings are like on the other side.
Well, he's going to go to mass substitution here.
What a performance by these kids from North Carolina. And they are kids. Remember, the youngest team in the history of the Carolina program, starting 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores.
And they're the youngest team right now in America, I would bet, in the top 25. If you look at the top 25 teams, starting 3 freshmen and 2 Souths.
Christian Moody into the game, Brett Olson, Stephen Vincent as well for Kansas, and now Matt Doherty is going to do the same and empty his bench. And a huge ovation for these Carolina starters.
And the Tar Heel fans stand up with joy and jubilation. Yes, sir. A great performance tonight. Steve Kirshner, their SID, was telling me before the game, he said we had to get here to New York to give our program a lift, and it was a positive to get here. But they want more than just a visit to New York now. They want that gold trophy, man. They want that NIT championship gold trophy, and so does Mike Montgomery.
Blocked there by Byron Sanders. Jonathan Miller, Philip McLeod also in.
There's the ball.
There it goes.
That's
now
my
he can
son.
relax. Yeah.
That's my boy.
His son's the coach.
I tell you, he took so much heat last year. You got to feel good for him. I mean, he went through a lot of pain. His beautiful wife Kelly's going to be on cloud 9. There's the great handshake. Roy Williams to Matt. Certainly congratulating him, and I know he feels indebted to Roy for all that he learned about the game of basketball. Oh, there's the family. The Doherty family on cloud 9 right now. Great victory for North Carolina, beating a classy, outstanding Kansas basketball team that will be back.
Rashad McCants with 25 to lead all scores. The 3 freshmen combined for 43 of North Carolina's 67 points here tonight, continuing the trend that we've seen in the first 3 games of the season. But this is a whole different story as they knock off the number 2 team in the country. Earlier tonight, Stanford beats the number 7 team in the country, and Mom's coming back along with Coach Doherty for the championship game, the Cardinal and the Tar Heels, Friday night at 9 Eastern right here on ESPN2. A stunning night of upset basketball here in New York City, and Matt Doherty's Tar Heels, who started last year 0-3, they're 4-0 right now. Here's the winning coach with Andy Katz.
I'm with Coach Matt Doherty. At halftime, your mother congratulated you. A little premature. How did you guys defend Kansas so well?
We're not bad defensively when we want to guard, and I was really concerned about Kirk Hinrich. I was worried about their transition. I was worried about their 2 big guys inside. I just thought we were pretty darn active, and we were fortunate. I think Kansas didn't play their best game, and it was a good night for us.
We've talked about this the last couple of weeks. How have your freshmen and your sophomores played with so much poise?
They're gamers. You know, I really think they're gamers. They got a lot of confidence. They trust. They believe. I don't know if I've ever been more proud of a group than I am tonight.
4-0. Could you have ever imagined it?
You imagine. Yeah, imagine a lot of things, you know. We enjoy this tonight at midnight. It might be almost midnight. We got about a half hour. Then we'll start thinking about Stanford.
I don't know if you thought it would be a Stanford final, though. Thanks, Coach.
All right, Andy and Matt Doherty, thank you very much.